Sizing is perhaps the most critical element when it comes to running waist belt performance. So before I get started with my full running belt roundup, I've got my handy dandy tape measure here. I'm going to take a few measurements in different areas on my body here. So as I go through the different models from the different brands, I'm going to talk through where I actually wear the running belt on the body, how it applies to their particular sizing charts. They're all a little bit different between the brands, and how that might vary against where you are wearing your particular running belt, whether that's lower on the hips or higher up on the waist, as I tend to do. So here we go. Let's start up high on the waist. This is an area where I do wear my running belts. And as you can see here, I actually have 29 inches here. Let me take a few deep breaths. When I'm breathing in, expanding, I'm getting to about 30, but pretty much standing still, I am 29 at the waist. That is coming right at my belly button, above the hip bones right here. So let's actually move down a little bit further here. I'm going to go around these hip bones right here. And I think this is where the majority of runners tend to wear the center of their waist belt. So I'm going to take a measure right around here, see what the difference is. I am getting 31 inches. Okay, so there's quite a big difference, and especially if you are in between sizes, that could be particularly of interest if you're between, say, at this level, between a small and the medium. I'm 29 up here and 31 down here. That's quite a large 2-inch difference. When you're shopping for a waist belt, or when you're looking around and considering what size you're going to wear, you really have to understand if you want it here. If you're wearing it high up on your waist, they'll typically give, we'll see the sizing charts later, advice onto where to take their measurement, as in the center of the belt is going to be located around the middle of your waist or around here, or they'll say measure where you wear your belt, and that's how you choose your size. One quick thing, let's go a little further down. This is just, I'm going to go around my lower area over here, around the bum, just to give you a sense of maybe why I wear my waist belts a little bit higher. Maybe this is more applicable to women than men. I mean, I would say generally speaking, yes. All right, so I am 37 here around the butt. So we got, I don't know what the official, I think there was a hip hop song back in the day about this, wasn't there? 37, 31, 29. As I go through again the waist belts, we'll talk about, I tend to wear my waist belts right up here above my hip, because in the past when I've worn waist belts down around this level right here, I tend to be running into that gradient where it's going from 37 to 31. That's a huge 6-inch difference in circumference there. And I always found the waist belts, you know, they would just ride up over here. So I would have one that would be, when I'm standing still, sized correctly, if I would want to have it positioned over the hip bones right here as generally recommended. But for me, that 36 down here, or what I say, 37, would just push it, and the belt would just ride up, and then it would be too loose and it'd be flopping around, because again, I'm 29 over here. Okay, we've got the measurements locked in. Let's start off here with the Instinct Reflex belt here. This one retails for $45. I actually just wore this belt in the Munich Marathon. I was looking for a lightweight belt to carry the gels. This is my first road marathon that I've run in a long time, and previous in my road marathons, before high carb fueling was a big thing, and before I was actually focusing on properly fueling in ultras and of course even road marathons for that matter, I was really not taking that much in marathons. I would put maybe 1, 2, 3 gels and then maybe drink some of the Gatorade on the course, and that was it. That was pretty much every road marathon before this last one. This one is definitely, the game is different these days, so I carried 4 gels actually. I think I probably should have had 5. And I just wanted something light, because I think having 4 or 5 gels, I actually carried SIS gels in that race. Having 4 or 5 gels in waist belt pockets, unless you have a really good one, there's some good ones, but they're more designed for ultra racing. Running a road marathon, you don't necessarily need all that. So I wanted to have all my own stuff, so I wanted to have a lightweight belt, and this was the belt I chose. This is the only belt that does not have some type of strapping or tightening system of the ones that you see on the table here. It's very critical here that you look at their sizing chart and you get a nice snug fit, because you don't really have any way to adjust that here. To that point, I actually don't know what size that I have here. I'm assuming there was a tag somewhere in here, maybe a paper tag that I ripped off at some point. Based on my measurements and Reflex's sizing chart here, they tell you to measure 2 centimeters under the belly button. I had 29 here and 31 at the hip, roughly I would say around 30 inches where they're recommending to measure. And that puts me at 76 centimeters, which is at the upper range of their size 2. So I'm going to go ahead and assume that I have a size 2 belt here, and I think it's actually better to be at the upper range of their sizing range, because you want to have it tighter, or at least I want to have it tighter. Let's take a look here. And again, that may be something that may vary depending on where you wear your belt. Let's put this on. I'm going to put each belt on. We'll see right here how this one goes. Pretty stretchy. You can see here there's a lot of play in this particular belt here. So I'm wearing pants here, but you saw how that one gets right on there. No problem at all. And it is nice and snug and tight. So this belt I really love. It's a lightweight model. You have these bib number things here. I pinned my number. I don't really use these, but if you don't like them, you can cut them off. You can see how stretchy it is, and it is a very strong stretch. So my belly button is right here. It's quite a wide or tall belt. My hip bones are right here, and that's not exactly centered. It's a little bit, riding a little higher. I like to have it higher. You can see how this comes around me here. I think this is the best area for me to get a no bounce fit. Features on this: you have an easy access pocket here. This is great because sometimes when I'm running with a camera, it's easy to slide the small camera with the mini selfie stick right in here and access it. Of course, that goes for anything else. Got a 90-gram gel here. I have some props on the table here, so I'm just gonna throw some stuff in there. Pretty easy. That's 90 grams right here. You got another little gel bottle here. This was filled up, no problem. It also has an inner kangaroo pouch, and this is something that I really like, and I'm going to talk about in relation to the other belts. Sometimes when I'm taking my gloves off and things like that, it's nice to be able to stuff it in there and have it be contained in the belt, not like it's going to slide out in any kind of way. In other belts that don't have this kind of inner kangaroo sleeve, sometimes I'll just like tuck them on the edge, and usually they'll stay in there pretty well, but it's nice to have something secure there. Like if you actually wanted to store something in there, that's an area that you could utilize. If belt didn't have it, I would do something like this, but it's nice in this belt. I could stuff them in there. You've got these side pockets here. Again, this is another area. If you wanted to carry even more stuff, particularly good for gels, stuff those in there, and it has this pull tab so that you could open it up pretty easily, or you could use these for trash. On this side, and the rear pocket I find is great. You have a pass-through, which is something that is unique to this one. You could use this for your trail running poles. All the other options that I have straps on there, but this one utilizes a pass-through system, and there's some silicone grippies on the edge here. So this is super secure for holding your poles. Even if you have a bottle inside there, it's no problem. There's plenty of space in there for that. I mean, you can't have excessively huge bottles in this one, but it does work. I got an assortment of bottles here. Let's go with a 500 ml bottle. This is a Raide bottle with a locking cap. See, this is a long, oh, I missed the pocket here. Okay, now I'm in. So this is kind of a long bottle, and this is something that I find with waist belts that can be a little bit tricky. This could be due to my sizing also. Again, I'm in a whatever size 2, but generally a small size belt. So I'm not so wide. So a lot of these bottles can be long, and they could be tricky to stuff in there. A bottle that I do like here, this is a 500 ml from Deuter. I talked about this in other reviews. I think this is a much more secure locking top than this kind of flippy one from Hydra Pack. This is new from Hydra Pack, but I do think this one's better. But the point here is that this is a shorter bottle. So being that this belt is kind of tall as it is, I would generally use something like this for this waist belt. And I find this one much easier to stuff in on the run because it's just that little bit of shorter height to the bottle, say compared to this one, makes it easier to get in here. So you can see how this belt could be awesome. Like, you're fully loaded, you got your bib number here, gels here, all kinds of stuff in here, easy in and out access stuff in this kangaroo pocket. This is an awesome belt, and it's available in the EU for 45 euros, $45 on a few sites that I saw in the US. Not quite sure about the distribution, but that's a good price for a solid belt. Pretty easy. Okay, and this one for $45, it does not come with a bottle. So I guess that is one differentiating factor. I do want to point that out. Next, I have a belt from Kiprun here. This is their 900 trail running belt, and this one retails for $60. Quick check on their sizing measure here. Measure hip circumference at the waist. I have an extra small of course. They say approximately 29.5 to 34 inches. So I'm kind of on the lower end of their extra small to small sizing. They also give some advice on making the most of your trail running belt, and they have some pictures here. For enhanced stability, wear the belt down low on the waist, resting on your hips. And this is something that I don't particularly like, and you saw how I have it riding high in the other Instinct belt. I'll talk about this as I put it on here. Extra small, so 29.5 to 34. I'm, of course, on the lower end of that range, so you could see this one's pretty loose to get on there. They do give their, let's position this actually, so they want you to wear this low on your hips, and you could see that even in their pictures, that they have them riding low on their hips. But if you saw you did see my measurements earlier, I'm 36 over here, and this is essentially the problem that I've had with all running belts before in the past, and why I wasn't a running belt user, is that this 36, this is just gonna ride right up as I run. So then it gets all tangled and bunched up over here, and it's not good. So this one, I think, is a little loose, and this is the smallest size. This one, unlike the Reflex belt, does have a tensioning system. So you have these elastics on the side. I find that I can get a very secure fit in this one. So once I cinch these down, and even if I have it, say, I'm probably a little bit, again, I have this is up around my smallest 29-inch waist here, smallest circumference here. Even if I have that a little higher, see, I'm kind of above this area that's gonna push it riding up on me. Once I cinch those down, I'm pretty good here. The thing about this belt is this is really not a hydration storage area, because this is pretty small back here. And they even say on the website that the front area is the water bottle storage area. And I find this is again my smaller bottle here. It's okay. I mean, there's a little bit of bounce here. I feel like this is just not as tight, holding it as tight enough. And I generally prefer to have the water bottle storage in the rear. I think that's the most stable area. If you want to double up and have one in the front, I would go with the rear first, then the front. That kind of balances it out for me. I wouldn't put a single bottle. I wouldn't put, say, the majority of the weight up front, because for me, at least with my body type, I'll talk about that in a little bit, it's more bouncy in the front. I get more stability when I store stuff in the rear. This video is a little different, jumping around a bit. Hope you can follow along here. You have this area in the back, but it's really small, and they don't even say that it's useful for a bottle, just because it is small. So you can store stuff in there and it's okay, but I think in a running waist belt, you want to have your at least primary bottle storage, your first bottle storage, be in the rear. I'm not sure what the intention was. I think maybe these straps were just taking up too much space, and that was the reason why they set it up this way. One thing that's interesting about this is there is a front zipper pocket here, And this is kind of a waterproof. It's not fully waterproof, but it is, they might call it fully waterproof, but I don't know. I actually wore this belt on a rafting trip because I wanted to carry my small camera with me, and I knew I would have this giant vest. I know they make these vests with, you know, pockets and all that, but I'm not a rafting guy. I don't have one of those. So I knew I was going to be wearing one of their vests. I wanted to carry my camera. I actually wore this belt because of this zipper pocket feature. So I had my little camera zipped up in here when I was taking photos. It was easily accessible, and it was a family trip. My daughter was there, of course. I had all kinds of little snacks and gummies loaded up in here. So just like any of these other belts, this is different than the Reflex belt, but similar to the other belts, you have a pole strapping system in the rear, but it is not adjustable and it is not a tubular setup like the Instinct one here. It's plenty fine. I mean, poles are typically thicker than this, so you shouldn't have an issue, especially if you put any stuff back here. You have two smaller side pockets for gels, and again, that front pocket up here, it is utilizing Velcro here, which I'm not a big fan of. I don't think any of these other belts here have Velcro in them. So if you're gonna stuff a buff or gloves or a knit beanie or something like that, I just don't think that's a good idea to have a sticky Velcro on any of the pockets here. This is most similar to the Instinct pack here, to the Instinct belt here, but I think I would go with the Instinct over this one, especially I think the price of this one is even a little higher. It's $60. If you're looking for, say, a looser fit, you saw how snug that one was. If you're looking for something with a looser fit, perhaps with a more adjustability, again, I think the feature here is that little waterproof pocket up front. If that strikes you as something that, for whatever scenario, for the phone, whatever else you want to keep safe up there, this could be one to go with. Okay, let's move. Let's start with the LF2L from Raide, and I want to look particularly at the sizing chart. I had a comment in one of my videos. Someone said they were maybe a slightly higher waist, or it's difficult to tell where people are taking their measurement. You saw for reference at the beginning of this video where I took my measurements. The comment was along the lines, I can't believe you're wearing an extra small, and yeah, I assure you, this is an extra small here, LF2L. For an extra small, they give you a measurement of 27 to 29, but you can see from the picture, it's not at the lowest point. It is at this point right here. For their extra small, they're saying 27 to 29 over here, but I am wearing this belt definitely higher over here, and that is where I'm getting 29. So I find an excellent fit in this belt. Let's swing it on here. Okay, so you've got the internal strapping system in here. You can see there's plenty of room for adjustment here, even if you have a smaller waist than me. When I'm putting them on, it's a little bit of a squeeze, so I don't know. I keep these on the looser end as I'm putting it on. You'll see this one is a little bit of a snugger squeeze than the other two, but still easy to get on and off, okay? I have to kind of squeeze my way in here a little bit more, and I'm wearing pants too, so that makes it a little bit more tricky. Oh, there goes my chapstick. Okay. I'm wearing an extra small rated at 27 to 29, but I'm 36 over here, so I have to get over that hump, so to speak. Okay, so now that I've got it on, I'm wearing this quite high, and I find this works perfect for me. Take a look at these straps in here. I'll pull them a little bit, but really not to the point of squeezing it. Kind of fits as is. I feel like I have to just tighten it just a touch, but there's even more Velcro area over here. So if you're gonna wear this around here and you're even smaller than a 29 in this waist area, go with an extra small and you'll have a great fit. So extra small, okay? These are my hip bones. It's pretty much the bottom edge is at the hip bone. So that may be perhaps why my sizing is different. Check out my Mount to Coast H1 insole video. I went to a master German shoemaker, and one of the things he pointed out, I have a little bit of lordosis, hollow back. He said the German word for it, which I don't remember. So it's essentially a curvature of the spine in this area. I don't have like a terrible condition or anything, but just slightly along those lines. That's one of the reasons why I think that I find this the most secure area because I have a little bit of a, I guess, hollow here to store the water bottles. Let's go with the 650 ml bottle here. This is the one that comes with the LF2L. The one I was testing earlier, it's just as tall, which is interesting. This one comes with the 1 liter, which we'll see in a second here. 650 with the 2L, but they are the same height, which is interesting. I think they could have made or gone with a little shorter bottle for the 1L. Well, we'll take a look at it. This one, 650 ml. Let's get in here. So how easy it is to stuff that in. Large opening here, and this is just fantastic here. Zero bounce. Again, with my hollow back situation, I always feel like this low back area is the most secure spot. One of the reasons why I like the Basham vest, keeps the bottle down on the low back, and even when I'm storing stuff in my running vest, I love putting it in the lower area. This is just perfect fit here. You have one huge storage pocket up front here, so it's all connected. You don't have a lot of separation here. There's plenty of area in here. Let's stick a bottle in there actually, so you can pile all those gels and things in there if you're a double bottle guy, as I was talking about earlier. You can easily squeeze one. See, did you see that water squirt out? See this thing? It just, I don't know. I don't think it's the best design. I think they could do better. Anyway, okay, you got a lot of water here. This is over 1 liter front and back. I think people can put 2 bottles, double up here. That may be possible in one of the larger sizes. Again, I have an extra small here. I wouldn't try to squeeze 2 bottles in here. It would be falling out, or I don't know what. You could hold one in your hand, and then store 2. Once you drink that one down, store the empty flask in there. That's the way I would go with that. Squeeze this one out of here. There's 2 interior pockets in here, but they're kind of small, so that's a little bit of a difference between having this kangaroo style pocket in the front here. I talked about that with the Instinct belt. I keep saying vest. I like it that you can just stuff things on the inside there very easily and find this big wide opening. With this belt, you have these smaller things here. They're similar on the inside. This is the UL belt. They're just like this, but they're on the inside. And I find that they're just like a little tricky. I think that would be a place where you would store stuff before you start running. And again, the strap is going over the top of that. When I'm trying to get something in here, when it's strapped down, it's pretty much, I'm like fighting to squeeze it behind where the strap is going. It might be a better option if they just did away with these little pocket things and just made like an inner flap, so I could just like easily stuff things in there. These kind of little small things, I mean, I guess the idea is to separate smaller things, but I just think it would be easier to have a easier in and out access here. I think this thing is leaking here. It is, because something with that valve opened up on me. You've got these pole loops here. I demonstrated this with the Instinct belt, but I don't do this. I'm not a big fan of this. I've, of course, have seen many runners out on course. I've tried the fit on this one, of course, but you could see I have them, like I don't have it pulled because I don't really use this. I wouldn't run with poles like this because I just think if I'm running with poles in a race or a long situation, I would rather have my vest on versus a belt. Again, but you can, okay? If this is a situation for you, there's no bounce. It is better than having them in a low back with a vest, because I find my arms are kind of long. They're out of arm swing range right here. If I put them in those lower back straps on a vest, they're always hitting my elbows. So it's better here if you like to do that thing. I'm a quiver guy, so I don't really go for this setup. So I'll undo this a little bit, because this is a tighter squeeze than the 2 that I've tried on already, but not too bad. That's pretty easy on and off here. These straps go through from the rear and they enter the front pocket here. The front pocket is open here, okay? So you have one large front pocket and it's open where these straps go through. There's a little lip on the bottom, so nothing's gonna fall out the side. Unless you happen to have small things that kind of are sitting in the middle, then, but this is gonna be pulled pretty taut around your waist, so I wouldn't be worried, and I've never had anything even close to coming out of there, so not an issue at all for me. There's also a small zip pocket in here. Cash, credit card, key, secure in there. That's a nice feature to have. And this back area is pretty wide. It extends from where this strap enters the front area on both sides. So you have a pretty large, essentially from here to here area. And again, with the bigger sizes, that will be an even bigger area. UL 1 liter. I've posted and I've talked about this belt being a snugger fit, so you're gonna see that right now. I have the same size, extra small here. The sizing chart isn't any different for this one. I just find this a lot tighter squeeze. Let's take a quick look at the features before I put it on. This opening is a little bit smaller. Check out my Q&A with the Cloud Ultra 3. I did a little bit of a mini comparison, answer some questions about this 1 liter belt versus this one. By the way, ultra light is what UL stands for, and here LF, light and fast. I wasn't sure about that in one of my prior videos. Anyway, so this is a little bit tighter here. So I find I definitely can't get one of those larger bottles when it's full into here. In one of my recent test videos, I found that I had the 650 bottle, which is the bigger one, but I had it not as full. So I got about, say, 500 or whatever in here, but it's a bigger bottle. I'm able to kind of manipulate the bottle a little bit more, and I was actually able to easily or more easily get the 650 ml bottle in this smaller opening, being that it had kind of less fluid in it. When it's like, this is the 500 one, you saw how it was a little bit tricky. So this is definitely very difficult to get in here. I mean, compared to the size of the opening, this bottle is pretty big when it's full. You could see how 650 ml slightly filled would be easier to push in here. You got those outer pockets here, and you also have a couple of them on the inside. They're actually a little bit larger in this belt, which is a little curious. I know they've been playing around with some of those pockets. They have different configurations in earlier models of this. These are the interior ones on the 2 liter model. They're pretty small. They're almost like credit card size. These are definitely wider. Again, I don't know. I just don't think this is better off than having, say, this kangaroo thing here. I just think this is an easier setup and just easier access to get in and out of. You also have same snap here and a zipper pocket in the rear. Both of these have this padding in the rear, which is good for ventilation, and also if you're wearing, or if you're stuffing the poles back there, that kind of cushions them against your lower back a little, even the edges of some of these flasks. It gives you ventilation and a little bit of cushioning back there. Okay, here we go. Okay, here we go. Okay. All right, getting to the, pretty stretched out here. I'm getting to the 36-inch area. Oh, okay, here we go. It has gotten better, okay? Since I first got it, it has loosened up. It was like, I emailed them. It was almost impossible. I was scared to put it on when I first got it, but it has loosened and stretched out a little. Okay, so this is one I definitely am wearing. Belly button's right here. So this is centered right on my belly button. Again, size extra small. Once it's on now, this is perfect. This feels so good. Since I've worn it and broken it in, I talked about wearing the Instinct belt in the marathon. This one's definitely a little taller than this one. It's quite a bit taller than this one. Again, when I'm running the marathon, I'm not carrying a phone. I didn't carry my camera. I didn't have gloves or any of that kind of stuff. If that was the case, then I would probably stick with this one. But being that I literally only had the gels in this waist belt in the marathon, if I had had this one, I would have carried this one. because it's just smaller. The fit is great. There's 90 grams here. This is about 5 gels worth. That is pretty solid. If you're gonna even take more than that in the marathon, maybe even you have like a small flask where you had maybe a concentrated fluid, that could be a good idea to have a small concentrated fluid, so that way you could mix a little concentrate with those little cups, Dixie cups that you get at those tables. This is pretty light. This is pretty awesome. You have the straps again here. This is made for trail running, okay? So same kind of strapping system here. I think with a 1 liter belt, I don't know if I would go crazy storing poles back there. I would want to wear something a little higher capacity if I'm going to be using poles, because if I'm using poles, I'm probably going to be out there for a while. Let's take a look at this bottle situation here. All right, this is the 500 ml. This is the one that comes with it. I could get it in here. I mean, I could leave it hanging out. That might be easier to get it out. Squirting myself again. Okay, so it's tricky to get in there. Okay, it's not easy. Let's try with my 650 ml situation here. See, bigger bottle, less fluid. It's more about the shape of getting it in there. So I just think this is super tight, and it's just, I don't know, I find it difficult get a bottle in and out and do that tight of a squeeze consistently with pretty much any other belt on this table aside from the Kiprun belt, because that has the front bottle thing. I could pull the bottle in and out easily from the rear pocket. This one is the most difficult. So I would say this is the most kind of specific race belt, small bottle. I think they have 350 ml bottles. I think I'd be more comfortable if there was like a 350 ml bottle in there and then put the gels everywhere else. So let's try to get this guy off. Oh, by the way, I have to mention, this one, different strapping system than the 2 liter model. You have these internal small straps. Allows them to not have this whole strapping thing kind of taking up space and being on the outside and all that stuff. You saw how tight it is. I don't really need to. Sometimes I just pull it just a little bit, but I really don't have to in my sizing. If you were to go, maybe if I had a size small, it might be better. And then I would just have to use these tabs to tighten it up just a little bit. I don't mind this fit. It's just hard to get on. Being that I consider this a very specific racing type situation belt, I don't mind the struggle to get it on, because I talked about this in my Cloud Ultra 3. Oh, my pants will fall down here. Oh, losing my pants. Oh, there goes my pants. Talked about this in my Cloud Ultra 3 video. It's a very specific kind of a belt here. If I'm going out day to day, and I just did this yesterday or last night, I don't remember when I ran. This one's easy to get on and off. It's easy to get the bottle in and out. It's a little bigger, but so what? It's only 1 liter extra. I prefer having this one on a day-to-day basis, and even longer runs. Check out my Arc'teryx Norvin LD4 mountain run in the Sawtooths. I was in this belt. When you have access to water, like, this is fantastic. This is what all you need for a mountain run. By the way, these Raide belts, check out www.humblerunning.com. There are some great backcountry sales on right now. I have a post up with holiday deals, and these two are on there. So you can get either of these belts or both if you want to have that race setup and then an everyday or mountain type of setup. They are good prices right now at backcountry.com. How are you doing? Hanging in there? I hope you're liking this. I'm moving around a lot more. This is very as it goes kind of a thing here. Last one here. Hang in there. It's a good one. UltrAspire Mountain Racer waist pack. I'm going to talk a little bit more how this compares to the LF2L, because I did get a lot of questions about that. Let's go for the try-on first. I have this one in a size small. So this is 28 to 32 inches. You saw my sizing. I'm 31 here, 29 up here, so fall right in for a small. It's definitely a larger fit, easier to get on than most of these belts. I find this to be a higher capacity belt in general. I did a review of this one with the Gorewear Concurve jacket where I discussed a lot of the features of this belt already. So I'm not going to go over every little detail here. I'll just try to keep this more comparative. Again, I'm wearing this perhaps a little higher than maybe some others would wear it. I would imagine, I think some runners would wear this low down on the waist, more around here. This is my hip bones right here. But again, for me, this is gonna ride up a lot. They have these kind of foam things to kind of keep it flat, which is helpful, but it's just not, it feels too low. It feels like it is gonna ride up on me. So I do wear this belt, just like the other ones, higher. I have the bottom edge, my hip bones are here. It's kind of touching the bottom portion of it. As far as adjustment, they have on their website, they've been playing with the adjustment system on this one. They may have an outdated picture on there. This is your only adjustment that you have. There's these kind of bungees here, and they're connecting across here, and it's on both sides. So I can cinch this a little higher, but it's really only on the top section. You have no way or no adjustment for the rest of the belt. I guess that's a little bit helpful to keep it from bouncing up, to keep it tight around the upper edge, and that will in turn keep the rest of it low. There's these bolsters here, like internal foam, that's like padding for the poles, but it also tends to keep it flat, to keep it from kind of like bunching up a little bit. So I think those are serving a dual purpose there, and they do work really well. Got those cinches there, fits really well. You have a zipper pocket up front, which I think is a nice feature, as I talked about with the Kiprun. This is not a waterproof one though. This is up front here. There's no waterproof material in here, but if you had a little Ziploc bag or just whatever you want to keep secure, this pocket is good. They played around with this in different variations, but it's a little lock here. If you wanted to stick a bottle in here or something else here, I think it is a way that it will keep that nice and secure and keep it from falling out, and then also have it be easy access to come out kind of sideways. If the belt is pretty tight and it's a good fit, I don't think you really need to use this, but it's there. You have it. You have this bungee here, which it's kind of a little bit of a strange thing. It's a little small, but I guess you can strap something on here. What do I have here? Where's my gloves? If I have my gloves, you can bungee down your gloves, I guess. I mean, that works. Another feature that sets this apart from the LF2L, I talked about this one having these straps here. You have this one big internal pocket, which does extend all the way back here, but see how the straps, they're pressing down on that storage area. So it's kind of tough to utilize all of that. And of course, you can't have an actual pocket out here because the strap is here. Here you've got pretty large pockets on the side here. Talking about my gloves. No problem right there. Talk about a 90-gram gel here with plenty of space for more. You could really load up these side pockets. It's incredible. Also, a feature that I do like, the kangaroo pocket. This is something I talked about. I feel like would be better with the LF2L to just have this be a kangaroo pocket. A lot of times when I'm just fiddling around with stuff, especially I was doing a night run the other night, stuff your gloves in there, and it's inside that pocket. It's not gonna fall out the bottom or anything like that, just temporarily or long term. It's in there, no problem at all. Take a little drink here. Now, a huge distinguishing feature when it comes to this one, this is UltrAspire's blottle. This waist pack does not come with the blottle. It comes with this one right here, same locking cap as the Raide bottles, but this is a bigger bottle. It's also tapered at the bottom, so it has a little bit different shape. That may help to get it in. This is the same bottle as I have here with the blottle, so I actually haven't opened this one yet. I've been using this one. This is, I believe, 800. Yeah, this is an 800 milliliter, 27 ounce flask. Let's just try to put this guy in here right now, just to demonstrate how easily, and this is the biggest bottle that I've shown so far, and that was the easiest to get in there. Now, the feature that I love, this is a little port here I would typically do this a little bit earlier, but you can route your bottle hose if you have a headlamp, a battery. Again, look how easy that goes in. That's 800. That's bigger than any of the other flasks and any of the other belts that I put in here. I had a little magnet thing here, so I'd clip the magnet thing on here. So this holds it. I took it off for some reason. I used it on a vest. So I clip it here, and then I tuck this guy in here. Oops, it's open. Tuck it in there. And then I'm on the run. I'm running. I don't have to take this thing in and out or anything. I could just drink right like this. Snap this on the magnet, tuck this guy in. This is fantastic. I mean, if you're not wanting to carry a vest, but you want to carry 800 milliliters on a run, I mean, this is the ticket. This is pretty awesome. I thought about this before with the LF2L. I thought if they could do, before this vest was out, if they could just put a little port here, I think that would be very helpful. Because with this one, I've tested it before. You have to route the hose here, out, and then in here. That's doable for, say, a waist lamp. If you wanted to run a wire or anything to the front, not necessarily a waist lamp, something that you want to charge up, but maybe you want to keep it up front, you can route a wire there. But with the hose, it's a little tricky because it's sideways, and the port would be like tucked in here somewhere. So it would just be nice if they put a little port here to get some type of connection, because you are routing things, wires, cables, sometimes. I mean, it's a nice feature to have, and it's an essential feature and a great feature of this pack right here. Speaking of routing things, speaking of waist lamps, I've got haven't tried this yet, of course. I wanted to do this right here with you. This is the light bracket. UltrAspire has a few lights here. I've got the Solstice right here. This is a full waist lamp setup. Solstice is awesome. I think I used this through a full night in a 100-mile race. Lumen 600 right here. Okay, we're gonna talk about this right now. All right, so you saw me just take this out of the package. This is gonna be in, let me take my gloves out of here. This is gonna be in this area right here. This is what I was figuring, and that actually is the case. This bracket tucks right in here. This is the first time I'm doing this, by the way, figuring this out as I go. It's a little tight, but I guess that's a good thing. But there's your bracket for your waist lamp. If you have a Solstice here, okay, let's put it on, let's try it. You're good to go, okay? You don't need all this stuff, okay? And like I talked about with the routing, the Solstice thing, these are all detachable. These cables come out of these clips. This thing comes out. So you route this cable through that port, this little charger goes back here. You are good to go. One thing I will know, and I thought about before they sent me this is the same bracket. This bracket is the same thing. So this is the battery holder bracket on the Solstice. This light, this is very light, by the way, compared to, say, my 600. This 600 has no wire, which is very nice, but it makes it a little heavier, which is not that big. It's not that heavy. But this is 800, and it's a lot lighter. So if you're going to use this bracket up front, anyway, what was I talking about here? The bracket they sent me for the Mountain Racer here, it's the same bracket as the holder for the battery of the Solstice. So if you have a Solstice, you don't need to, this is $15. You don't need to buy that bracket. You just take this bracket off of your Solstice, put it in front, use it for the light, because you're going to tuck the battery in the back of your pack anyway. So if you happen to have a Solstice, you have the bracket that works in here. But if you have a 600 or one of their other lamps there, let's put this guy back in here. This is great because you don't have any wires or anything. The 600 is pretty good. So running at night, this 600 puts out quite a good amount of light. And you have no wires, no nothing, and you're completely connected here. You have a whole system without wires. This is fantastic. So maybe you would have your wire for your bottle. Okay, you got your hydration thing here routed with your hose, and then you just have this here, and then at the end of the night, sunrise comes up, get to the next aid station. All right, see you later. daytime running. Awesome feature here. Check out that Conquer video for full details and specs on this Mountain Racer belt. I think it's just, it is a higher capacity belt than the LF2L. These side pockets are just huge. You have, you know, you have the side entry, the zipper. These are overlapping. They're separated, by the way. You got this little bungee. You got the kangaroo situation in here. And this rear pocket is the biggest of any of these belts on the table. So this may be overkill, and it is overkill for, say, day-to-day runs. Like I went running the other night, or if I'm going for an hour and a half or something like that, where I just need maybe one decent-sized bottle and a few gels. This is a lot of waist pack. I don't think it's truly necessary, but I think for longer distances, racing longer ultras overnight, you saw how easy it was to swap to, say, night lighting and just, okay, no cables, no nothing. Or if you want to have the high-powered Solstice or any other brand for that matter, you could easily route the cable with those little routing ports. It's just a great option for, I would say, longer distance stuff. So it is easier to get on and off. I don't think it's as tight, maybe not as secure, but secure enough. And it may just be to my sizing. Say if you're, I'm 29, say you're 31, it's gonna be tighter, but it'll be really a good fit, good, snug, and secure fit. As far as comparison between this one and the LF2L, I think I like this for long mountain adventures. And if you are looking to race an ultra, a long ultra in a waist belt, you're not a vest guy, you want a high capacity belt, you know, those races, you want to have different kind of storage options. You want to like organize things. This has like different areas that work really well. Again, I talked about this. You have these nice bungee system. These are actually also removable. Some of these other ones, I think pretty much all of them, the Raide belts, the Instinct one has the tubular thing. These are part of the belt. It's not a lot of weight, it's not a big deal, but say you don't use these at all, you could completely remove these straps if you're not using your poles back here. So that's also a good feature. It's just a lot of organization, a lot of compartments, and the fit is not as, like the fit on this one, the security, the zero bounce, it's like 100%. Like no doubt 100%. This is the best fitting one. Most of these belts fit me well. They all fit me well, but this is just for the size of it and being able to put a bigger bottle in there and a good amount of stuff in it and be zero bounce. This is like 100% fit. This is like, I would say like a 95% fit, but again, with this belt, I would say you're gonna be loaded up with more stuff. So even fit at 95%, once you start loading more stuff in here, more volume of materials, it's gonna make that fit a little bit tighter. So it's actually probably gonna bump it up to 98, 99, 100% on the fit scale there. Compatibility for the lights, again, that makes this different. If you wanna run a light with this, you could rig up something here, but then that's gonna eat up a lot of the capacity in the front. Or if you just run with a headlamp, that's not a concern of yours at all. So this is, again, LF stands for light and fast. They wanna keep things simple in this vest. Big front storage, big rear storage, zero bounce fit. You got a little zipper pocket for absolutely important essentials, and that's it. Maybe too many of these pockets, too many things, you get lost in here, too much to think about. If you're in that or of that mindset, then this is the pick between these two. So I think they're different options. I am glad to have both. I would say I'm not running long ultras more often or multiple hour runs with a waist belt more often. So I will absolutely use this belt, the LF2L from Raide, more often than this one. But in those certain scenarios, this one I think would be the pick. Again, I have different options here. Instinct, these three are all along the same range. I would pick either the Instinct or this one, depending on ease of use. This is kind of a great, like, even casual belt. If you're just going out for a run to the store or running a little errand and you need something, it's easy to get on, and it does have the variety of pockets to keep things organized. This one doesn't have a zipper though. That's one thing I did forget to mention. There's no kind of zipper area in this one, which I think is a little bit of an omission. Even the Raide ones have just a tiny thing, credit card sized. I think that would be helpful. Like, again, if you are going to go run an errand, or even if you're on a mountain run and you want to put 20 bucks in a credit card someplace secure, it would be nice to have just a small little secure zipper area. Not that anything is going to fall out, but again, stuff like that, you want it zipped up. I hope you enjoyed this waist belt roundup. I think I kind of went through everything here. Any questions that you have, leave them down below in the comments. There's links to all of these products in the description below. Please always check out my description, especially now in the holiday period. There are very good sales, so you can get good deals on a lot of stuff. To that end, check out www.humblerunning. Again, I have a couple of deal articles up there with specific picks, stuff that I have tested and reviewed. I didn't just put up anything there that's at a cheap price. It's all stuff that I have reviewed on the channel. You can see my full thoughts, reference them before you make a purchase, but clicking through those links does help me out and kicks me a little bit. Good to help out the channel, support me creating content like this. I hope you enjoyed this one. Further questions, there's a lot of details on these. I hope I covered everything, and I hope the me struggling through that sizing and squeezing into all these belts on and off, I hope that was helpful to see as far as sizing, because as I said in the beginning, sizing with these belts is the most important critical factor. Any questions about where they sit, what your sizing is, I think it may be helpful to reference how I measured myself, where I have my belts versus their sizing charts. I hope that will be helpful. Anyway, I will see you in the next one. Thank you for watching.